Good evening, everyone. A special thanks to all of you who have been waiting for some time for us. Thank you so much. So on behalf of the core team mental health webinar series and the organizer, the Department of Psychology, the American College Madurai, and the associating partners, Madras School of Social Work Chennai, Red Pond Educational and Psychological Research Center Madurai, MS Chellamuthu Institute of Mental Health and Rehabilitation Madurai, and Yellow Pond Counseling Center Madurai and Psycho-Oncological Association Turkey. We welcome you all to today's session 404 with Dr. Saravanan, and he is going to talk about pollution and mental health to us. And he has been already here for a couple of sessions, and you know him. He's currently working as a research officer at the Bangor University in the UK, and he has been in different countries having his postdoc experiences and doing a decade of research in biosensors. And he has been working on environmental aspects currently in agriculture. So he's here to present his insights and experiences about how environmental pollution, the other pollution, can influence the wellness of people. Thank you so much, Dr. Saravanan, for being present here. Now I hand over the session to you.
Hello, can you hear me? Am I audible to everyone?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes. Very good evening to everyone. Thanks for waiting. I'm just going to talk more in general about environmental pollution and mental health and time to act. Basically, I'm a researcher in University of Bangor University in Wales. You can see the pin here. It's almost the west side of the UK. It's more of an environmental center, and we work more on soil science. And my part of research is to develop the sensors for soil nutrient monitoring and precision agriculture. The main scope of me here presenting this topic is to give a general view about the environmental pollution and how that affects the mental health. Usually, general people might have heard about environmental pollution and health issues, but I'm going to talk to you today about how it's going to affect the mental health of people and affecting society. So it will be more of general linking to the pollution and sharing some of my insights of my research, and then coming to the mental pollution and mental health problems. So I'm going to start with more in general with the world population. If you see here in 1950, the world population was just 2 billion. And in case of, if you see in 2050, the world population will be like around 9 billion. And 1/3 of the population will be from India and China. And imagine being such a huge, heavily populated, the world has to feed the people. That's more challenging. And if you think about the pollution, it will be massive to keep things while the population is growing. It's kind of a challenge for tackling pollution and also feed the world. So if you think about the farming is getting shrinking day by day. And one example is like 30,000 hectares of farming land is being lost in India, which is alarming. And more people are migrating from farming to the other job. As this trend keeps on, it will be very hard for the people to get the food. So that's more alarming now. So what happens, being very limited access and being limited people, you need to produce a lot of agriculture produce, and which is difficult. So people use sort of chemicals, pesticides, and growth promoters, and all the chemical additives to the agriculture, and that gives you kind of problem. So you don't get a healthy food. It's kind of all alterations. So feeding the world will be the problem. So well-being starts with the health food, as I mentioned before in a couple of my presentations with this session. Well-being starts with the healthy food. So since we don't have a healthy food, so you have a problem health, and all related problems with the pollution as well. So the high yield crops, fertilizers, pesticides, and indoor farmings all will be more intensive to feed the world and keep things going on. So as such, due to the all the urbanization, so we have air pollution, water pollution, soil, and light and noise pollution. So I'm going to more focus on air pollution today, and also linking the rest of the pollution, and that will affect how that will affect the human well-being. So if you just see the slide, how a climate change impacts your physical and mental health. So everybody knows that climate change affects everything, but one thing I want to talk more in detail is about the mental health. So if you see in the left-hand side is the environmental pollution here. So that pollution creates a drastic impact on climate change. So you have soil erosions, acid rains, increase in temperature, sea level rise, forest fires, and also every year if you see the global warming, like it's 1 or 2 degrees increasing every year. So imagine if this continues, it will be very hard for the people to survive. I think most of the countries, most part of the world will be in more hot and very hard to survive, as it will be in desert. So this will be the scenario. So as this environmental pollution and the climate impacts will definitely will affect the human health. This is everybody knows. More general, it affects the. So if you take it's in the medical and physical health, it changes fitness, a lot of health-related problems, allergies, and exposure to all the bacterial infection. And also, if you see the down, it's a community health. So it's more of aggression. People get more aggressive. Violence and crime is also related to the climate change. Increase the social instability and decreased community cohesion. So these are all those things. So one new thing I want to insist is all these pollutions also affect the mental health, which increases the stress, anxiety, depression, and also social relationship. That's more important. So people, they don't have a very good social relationship, which is a huge problem in the society. And also post-traumatic stress disorders. So all this in general, it triggers all the problem triggers from the environmental pollution. So this is more in general, like most people are aware how and where the pollution triggers. So the main 3 pollution is the soil pollution, water pollution, and air pollution. So soil pollution is mostly from the chemical fertilizers industries and the agrochemicals, and also pathogens from the sewage and live excreta. In terms of water pollution, mostly it's an agriculture and industrial waste, and also heavy metal contamination from industries. And also recently, the antibiotics is a big problem. So most people are taking antibiotics, medicines, and what happens with the urination and all the fecal activities gets into the sewage, and all the bacteria gets more resistance to all the antibiotics and all the things. So it's more of it's a problem. All the pathogens become more resistant to the antibiotic, so we need to have more dosage. And also vaccines and growth promoters gets contaminated in the water pollution. In terms of air, it's mostly the greenhouse gases we call. It's the methane, nitrous oxide, and also carbon dioxide and chlorofluorocarbons. This chlorofluorocarbons is more common. It's used in the air condition. So most people in the cities and the urban areas use the air conditioner. Imagine the amount of CFCs coming out of it, and the resulting the increase in the temperature of the environment. So it affects the human health, environmental health, and also mostly finally becomes a burden of economic problem. So the government has to spend more and more money for tackling all the pollution. I want to quickly show about the pollution, where it triggers and how it goes on to the affects the human health. So that's be more general. So agriculture pollution is basis of everything. There's a serious threat to the world. So what happens if the farmers apply too much of fertilizers? So that's more the problem, where the problem triggers. And as you see, this is more of in general, like too much of anything will be a problem. So soil is being contaminated, water is being contaminated, and due to the over fertilizer, over irrigation, intensive farming, you have the nitrogen and methane, all the greenhouse gas emissions. So finally, you have the eutrophication, a dead zone, which is harmful. This is due to the pollution from the agriculture, just getting away, washed away into the sea. And you can see the NASA image that gives you like kind of algal blooming through the seawater. Like it's so once if the algal blooming covers the entire sea, all the aquatic creatures will be dead and lack of oxygen, and it will completely spoil the ecosystem. So you won't be having a proper drinking water, and all degradation of aquatic food supply is more of a problem. So in terms of more in general, the agriculture practices is a major contribution of air pollution, and the industry must adapt. Now, as you see here, compared to the rest of the other pollution from industries, transport, buildings, and energy, agriculture is also a major contribution of pollution within the system. So if you see the nitrous oxide, methane, and carbon dioxide, one of the three main global warming gases, like greenhouse gases, that comes from agriculture. As I said, I have mentioned before, even though it's a green, it's not green, so it's completely a polluted environment that triggers a problem. So what we are doing here, my research mostly to work on the sensors to keep the environment protecting from the environmental pollution and minimize the pollution in terms of soil, in terms of air, and in terms of water and everything. So this will be the future, how the automation will be into the agriculture. But since like we don't have the labor for the agriculture, so in the future everything will be automated with the artificial intelligence, and that will help in managing the environmental pollution and also improving the agriculture practices. So as I said, the Bill Gates is the biggest landowner of the in the United States of America. So imagine the person behind the computers, the master brain behind the computers, now is completely entering into the agriculture. So he wants to do something good to fix the problem, to feed the world, and ensure the food security for the future. So he's developing a model. It's called like a Microsoft Windows. It's a Microsoft Azure. So he's developing a lot of platforms to help farmers to improve the productivity and also minimize the pollution. So I think the farming in a good hands definitely will help things to improve. So this is one good example of how the big people think about the vision about the agriculture. In general, I'm not talking more of corporate companies. Still, on the other hand side, they're trying to utilize things and make it more money. But on the other hand, a few people, they're more concerned about the society and trying to adapt and help the farming. So as a result, I'm going to talk about the mental pollution, mental health problem due to the air pollution. So this particular matter is a very tiny particles that's revolving in the air, and this is the problematic for the human health and especially mental problems. If you see the climate change, you have direct consequences of natural disasters as heat, and then indirect consequences. You have food insecurity, land loss, and also air pollution. The physical health, as I said before, is a pathogen which affects the health problem and also inflammation. Now, us being awareness is frustration, anger, and hopelessness will be the problem. So the mental health impairments in also in children and adolescents. So this is the biggest problem. So what happens as a pollution matters not only affects the heart, lung, and the rest of the body, it also, the air pollution affects the learning abilities in kids, and also the problem that triggers the Alzheimer's and depression and autism, and also it has the problem with certain birth defects and diabetics and all sorts of problems. So the most thing I want to insist today is about how the air pollution is being affects the mental health of the people, and also affects the well-being. So the mental health and well-being, once there's a climate change, the weather condition changes and gives a threat for destruction caused by the climate change, cause increased anxiety and depression in many people, and especially children, and also low-income countries in some part of America and also in India. So this will be more of in general. So a study shows here, all the new research, I'm going to show you some evidence that it's going to affect the vulnerable people here. So mostly the children are particularly vulnerable to even low levels of pollution. So one good example is that the air pollution linked to increased mental illness in children. So mostly people might have heard about the mental problem with the kids and people who live in the polluted cities. That's due to the nitrogen dioxide. It's from the vehicle pollution, mostly also from industries. This nitrogen dioxide, even a very in a microgram level, it influences the kids' mental health problem. So the researchers found even like a 10 microgram per meter cube increase in nitrogen dioxide will triggers the problem with the children. So that's more alarming. So as we know, like the air pollution affects the lungs and rest of the body parts, but it's more alarming that this air pollution is affecting the mental health of the kids, which is not really a good sign. So pollution linked with risk of mental disorders. So I'm going to show you some of the scientific evidence, which is published very recently in 2019 and 2020. The air pollution is linked to bipolar disorders, and also causes depression, schizophrenia, and personality disorders. So they did a lot of huge survey, and they have proved that 27% of people being affected mentally due to the air pollution. This linked to the air pollution. So researchers in Chicago and US, they did a small survey, and they proved that environmental pollution increases the prevalence of neuropsychiatric disorders. So which is being proved with the survey in United States. And also, the British Medical Journal published a few articles which took a sample of around 500,000 younger people, like under 18 in Sweden. Compared with that, they show that people are taking medicines to treat the mental illness, and ranging from sedatives to antipsychotics. So this is another proof that the mental illness related to the air pollution. And also, these neurological and psychotic disorders, it's going to be a huge problem. So you need to spend a lot of money to get the advanced treatments, or spending more on the medications to get rid of the problem. So it's both financial and social terms. So this is more in general, like how the air pollution affects the human health. So one interesting fact I want to tell you that the pollution happens in some part of the country will affect the rest of the region. So this is one example. Most people might have heard about the air pollution in Delhi. You know what causes this pollution? So this is something interesting I want to tell you. Like usually Delhi is called a gas chamber. The pollution hits, which is more every year at particular time. There's a high record of air pollution happening. You know, this is due to farmers in Punjab. They burn the crops. Imagine, like, the farmers in Punjab burn the crops, and after like a couple of weeks, all the fumes that reaches Delhi. And this is what recently they found, the 50% of the pollution is caused from the burning of agriculture crops, which is really shocking. So this makes Delhi's air quality so deadly. So imagine the intensity of pollution caused by one part of the country and which affects the rest of the world. So air pollution is not to be resolved by science, but it also it has to be deeply embedded in individual and societal decisions, and also political system. So we need to be socially responsible when doing things, and take more care protecting the environment and keep things moving forward ahead, to have a safe future world. So the air pollution is considered as a major environmental risk, has been proved at all the surveys, and also risk factors in incidents. Also, along with the mental health issues, it also triggers the cancer, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's disease, and psychological complications, and autism, and also infertility. And this is also a biggest problem now. So if you have health benefits like of natural spaces, so if you have a clean air, imagine what are the benefits you'll be having. So there won't be any stress. So I think most of the stress is also linked to the pollution. And also you can improve your life expectancy. This is everyone knows that if you have a clean environment, you can improve your health. And also once you can minimize the air pollution, you can improve the mental and physical health, and improve cognitive performances, and also the sleeping quality, the sleeping time, the pattern is also directly linked with the pollution, and especially the air pollution. And also, in general, if you have more healthy environment and less pollution, you can reduce the cancer risk, and that's more important. And if you take on the other side, if you think about the children, so they are the more vulnerable people with the pollution. So what happens that the children growing in such a polluted cities or such a polluted environment, they lack attention. So they don't have a attention capacity. So they lose the concentration while studies, and they get distracted. They don't have a proper concentration. And emotional and behavioral development is totally different with such people with the polluted city. So which is more concern these days. So it's also improves the self-confidence and self-discipline, and also social skills. And more important, the less it has been proved that the weight of the newborns is being affected by the pollution or the environmental pollution. So this needs to be fixed before anything happens. In next 20, 30 years, it will be more intense, and we have to reduce all such damage to the environment caused by the urbanization. Before, just the takeaway key message is the just to keep farming sustainable. So that's where more the pollution triggers. Like 50% of the pollution is being triggered these days with the intense farming, which is also equal to the rest of the industries and the vehicles and all those things. So we need a plan to combat environmental pollution. That's the main thing of anything. So whatever the science and technology progresses and being developed, it has to benefit the humankind. On the other hand, it has to protect things. So whatever the science progress, technology progress, we also need to take care of the environment as well. So this is more important. So not only being more advanced. So what happens in few part of the countries, like I can mention some part of China, Beijing, and rest of the very advanced, more advanced countries, you see a very advanced progress at one side, and also pollution on the other hand, which is not good for the ecological system and also for the well-being. So this affects everything. So your longevity, like the way of healthy living being. So the one important thing I would like to stress is to stay happy, eat healthy, no rush, take care of your environment and health, and more important, connect with people. So these the connecting with people is being minimized within the family and also friends. So if you want to be more happy and less psychological problem, or other than the environmental being affects the people, you can also improve your cognitive behavior with the connecting people. And also we have to think about the future, what we're going to leave for our kids or next generation. So what we are going to take forward, what we are doing today will definitely affect the future generation in 30, 40 years. So this has to be changed. So everyone has to be socially responsible in taking care of environment, and that's more important. I thank everyone for listening this presentation. And if you have any questions, please, you can feel free to ask. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saravanan, for a nice presentation. Actually, we have listened to you about your work on sensors and how it helps in improving, or how it helps in affecting the mental health. And today you have come up with newer results, and it's still alarming to know what kind of effect can pollution cause in disturbing people's mental health. Thank you so much, and special thanks to you, and gratitude now for having come so soon when we requested you for a quick session. Thank you for that as well. And now it's time for discussion. Participants, you can kindly unmute your mics to discuss with the resource person, or put your questions in the chat box. We can discuss. Thank you. Any questions or feedback about today's session is also welcome. Thank you.
I guess like people don't have questions. I think if you have anything, you can just write to us or keep us posting your feedbacks and questions.
So to assume positively, if there are no questions, I think you have made a presentation crisp and clear, and about the points that you wanted to share with us regarding pollution and mental health. So now it's time to render our heartfelt thanks to you, Dr. Saravanan, on behalf of the core team and all the organizers of this mental health webinar series, along with thanks from all of us, the participants over here. And I also thank the secretary of this webinar series, Dr. Thavamani Christopher, the principal of the American College, Madurai, and all the people who are working behind this successful journey. Thank you so much, one and all present here. See you all tomorrow in another session, the same time, same link. Thank you so much. Until then, bye-bye, good night.
Gracias.